You're trying to build a 2.0 life while living in a 1.0 body. You think your personality is just who you are and how you always been, but it's actually just the default settings installed from your childhood, past failures, and environment. Think of it like you're a high performance machine. You're someone who genuinely wants change, but you're running on a software that's outdated. No matter how many books you read, coaches you hire, you cannot seem to get outside of yourself. So today I'm going to show you how to actually manually recreate your entire self-image so that way you can change your future moving forwards. If you're new to this channel, my name is Khaden. In the past, I've helped over 500 clients permanently lose weight and get their health on track by recreating their self-image. And now I help six-figure entrepreneurs make more money by transforming their identity. If you enjoy this training, if this helps you understand yourself a little bit more, make sure you like and subscribe, and let's dive into the whiteboard. So how we function is that we cannot run away from our self-image. It becomes kind of like the prison to our lives. Now, this can be a good thing where if we have the right self-image of someone who's confident, worthy, successful, then we go and recreate that reality over and over again. But if you're like most people, you've oftentimes grown up in families with much limitations. Limitations around money, limitations around understanding relationships, healthy connections, relationships around understanding your self-worth and your own abilities. Most of us have many limitations, and that's exactly what's been blocking our success. It's not that you're not smart enough or you lack opportunity or anything like that. It's that your self-image is just doing its job. It's recreating itself over and over and over again in reality, and I'm going to break it all down for you today so you fully know why and how to change it. Now, self-image, what this also drives is feelings, the meaning you assign to situations, the actions you take in life, your thoughts that you have on a consistent basis, the results that you get in life, because again, influence your actions, your focus on things, if what is safety and what is a threat, and also the definitions that you give to the events happening into your life. So the new relationships, the new body that you want, it's there waiting for you, but we can't tap into it because it does not connect to who we believe we are, our identity, our self-image. So think of it like this, for example. Let's say you're stuck at 70 degrees right now. 70 degrees for you might be, okay, I'm making 50,000 a year. I'm out of shape right now. I got some belly fat. I have low respect. People don't respect me so much. I don't respect myself, and I have low confidence. And that's kind of where you're stuck at right now. And you have the desire to get to that 90 degrees. Maybe the 90 degrees you're making six figures. Maybe you have a six pack. Maybe you have just respected by your partner and the people around you, and you feel good about yourself on a daily basis. The problem is that right now is a threat. It is a threat, which means it's not familiar. It's not known. The brain can't predict the reality when it is set, when it's coming from that place. Your brain is a prediction machine. It's always trying to predict reality, and how it does that is going based off past programming. So if this is new, if that's a new future for yourself, if that's the new reality for yourself, that's going to become rejected. And that's where self-sabotage comes into play when we're trying to change our lives. And plain and simple, it's because this down here, this is the safe zone. This is what's most familiar. This is what's most predictable. And it logically doesn't have to make sense. It never has to make sense that way. Just basically whatever you experienced in your past, which I'm going to show you here in a second, whatever you experience over time in your past, from past experiences, your parenting, your conditioning, your family, all of these things, that becomes what's most familiar. That becomes your identity baseline. That is what's safe and secure. So your brain tries to recreate that over and over and over again. So anything outside of that then becomes a threat because it's not known. We don't know how to survive and function in the world with that. So it becomes rejected. Now, how does this work? Okay, so look at it as this. So who I am, who you think you are, is not actually who you fully are, which is kind of crazy to think about. Who you think you are is like you're wearing a mask. This mask can be changed to something else and it can be removed, but it's not the full you. Yet, we've bought into it as if it is fully us, and our brain keeps us stuck that way. Did you know that your brain will literally filter out information that does not align with who you believe you are? So if you genuinely believe that you are unworthy, ugly, not good enough, you will reject all compliments. You won't believe the people who are saying those nice things about you. Your brain is literally filtering out the information that does not align with your belief system. So again, it comes from the past. Who you are is just a creation of your past, and that is now become your default settings, how you function. So your past, when you're up to about the age of 0 to, we'll say around 8, around 7 to 8 years old, your brain is completely opened up before then. Your mirroring neurons are completely active, which means you're a sponge. You're just sucking in all the information of the world. Now, after you get about 7 or 8, this is where you get a strong sense of yourself, who you believe you are. Things are starting to become integrated into what we would call like your subconscious mind that runs 95% of your lives. So eventually you create this sense of self. Now, this is all built off your past experiences, the events that happen, and now you're giving meaning to those events that relate to who you believe you are, your conditioning, your parenting culture, society. This is all forming who you believe you are. This is what's been most familiar. Now, what happens is that your brain then tries to find evidence in your personal reality to reconfirm these beliefs over and over and over again. So that way you stay stuck exactly where you believe you fit in. You don't rise above, you don't go below. It's exactly where you fit into society. This is exactly how you function. This is exactly how you're going to be able to survive over and over and over again. Okay, so your brain's always trying to predict that in the future, but it's coming from the past. Now, who you believe you are, your identity, you also have an ego. This ego is the protector of identity. The ego can only live in the future or the past. So if you find that if you react to the things that people say, that's always the ego jumping in to protect who you believe you are, your identity. So that's kind of how it's created. Is it comes from your past creation. Most of us don't change too much from our childhoods. Honestly, we grow up and we age, but who we believe we are, our identity, our sense of self, our deepest insecurities, our fears that we have usually stay within us our whole entire lives unless we've actually done the inner work. Now, these are the exact things though that then becomes the blocks in your future that keep you from what you want most. An example, let's say you believe that let's say you want $1 million, but you believe to have $1 million, you need to be worthy of $1 million, you need to be good enough to have $1 million, that you need to be an abundant person. But you believe right now that you're not worthy enough, that you are not good enough, or that money is evil and money is a bad thing. You can see the conflict there. You can see the resistance. Your mind wants one thing, but your belief system is the other way. And your beliefs are always going to beat your mind because your beliefs are, again, it runs the entire show, which I'm going to show you here in a second how that works. So, who I am is actually just a construct of number one, beliefs. So, again, we talked about the past programming, and then we start to make meaning. We start to give meaning to the situation that happened, and these form kind of our beliefs about ourselves and how the world is and functions. Mind you, beliefs do not need to be truth. And in fact, any negative or limiting belief is oftentimes it's never true. It's never ever true. You'll realize it's never rooted in truth. Therefore, you have the choice to decide if you want to hold on to these beliefs or not. For example, money beliefs, for example, confidence beliefs, for example, success beliefs, whatever it may be. We have so many beliefs that are hidden in the background, we don't even realize it. We don't even realize how limited we truly are. So, this is why I love this work so much, because once we start to unlock these, we expand and we can grow so much faster in our lives. So, your beliefs kind of sends you the thoughts that you have, because you are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You have so many different thoughts happening all the time. You are not your thoughts. Most of us identify with our thoughts because what we do is we hold on to our thought. I have a bad thought about myself. Okay, so that person looked at me weird, and I'm thinking I'm an ugly person. I'm not good enough. Oh gosh, I bring negativity all around me wherever I go, or whatever it may be. Okay, I think that. The more and more I think about that and I start to feel an emotion from it, like, gosh, now I feel sad. Now I feel upset about it. The more and more I do that, my brain can't tell the difference between reality and imagination. So I'm literally experiencing that in real time. That's becoming hardwired into who I actually believe I am. So your belief sends you the thoughts and emotions that you have, because an emotion is never random. Emotion comes from interpretation. What I mean by that is, like, an event happens in your life, you interpret in a certain way, and then you feel the emotion. Now, how you interpret things comes from your belief system. It's pretty crazy because we get so caught up into thinking that this is who I am and these are my emotions and I'm stuck this way. I'm depressed. I am unhappy. I am caught up in all this. And it becomes so bad eventually where, again, our belief systems support us unconditionally. And this is why some of the saddest, most depressed people, it's hardest to change, because they're so bought into that program that I'm broken, I'm depressed, I can't change, something's wrong with me. And their ego will protect that identity. So whenever you come up with a solution for them to get better or to change or to heal themselves, they reject it because that information doesn't align with what they believe to be true. So it's one of the hardest people to truly help, I've noticed in my past years of coaching, because it gets so stuck and ingrained. But you must remember that you can change because you are so much more than your self image. And we must really go against that, especially when our beliefs are not supporting us. They're not helping us live a better lives. For example, thinking people are evil or everyone's out to get you, or that this culture, this race is bad, or that money is evil, or this side of this people is whatever it may be. There's so many limiting and disempowering beliefs that so many of us have that just do not help us make the world a better place, or the world, our own personal reality, a better place. So, beliefs send you the thoughts and emotions that you have. How identity is constructed is through consistent thoughts and emotions, because that neurons that fire together over time wire together. So that becomes your sense of self. And then you have your identity behind it all that protects this at all cost, because the ego is a protector of identity. Okay, it hates an identity death. It does not want that. So then your identity influences your natural behaviors and actions, right? It naturally does that. That's why you don't need motivation. If you have the identity of an athlete, of an Olympic athlete, you don't need motivation to go to the gym. You're going to do it because it's a part of your day. It's who you genuinely believe you are. It's just part of you. So it just naturally happens. But if you have the identity of someone who is fat or overweight or lazy, and you truly believe that about yourself, like that is who you are, your behaviors and actions over time will naturally come from that. And that's why you might feel that you need so much motivation to get to the gym, because it's not a part of your identity. We're trying to swim upstream rather than downstream. The best thing that we can do is build the identity of someone who's already fit and healthy and match that act off that state. I'll explain that here soon. So, identity influences actions, which actions produce results in life. So, who you are now is literally just a creation. Your reality right now reflects your past actions, your past thoughts, emotions, your past belief systems. That's what your current reality is reflecting to you right now. It's not who you are, and it doesn't mean it has to be your future, but it probably will be your future unless you make these changes, because the brain is just doing its job. What I believe to be true is the instructions for my brain to follow. My brain then follows those instructions to recreate that personal reality. And therefore, my personal reality will then reflect what I believe to be true, so it can just reconfirm it over and over and over again. It's simply just how it works. So that's the most important thing that I really want you to get through to your mind right now, is understanding who you actually are. Realizing that, like, if we were taught this in schools, and this is why I'm so passionate about this, because I truly believe that, like, when somebody genuinely builds enough self-belief, when you genuinely see your potential as a being, as a human being, your entire life can change, because you get back so much power. I find in society and just how things are, we're always told that, like, our problems are outside of us, or I can't change because of something, this I can't change because of the government, I can't change because something's wrong with me, right? And it keeps us stuck and disempowered. But when we finally realize that, like, hey, when I take ownership and responsibility and realize, like, I am creating my personal reality, I might not be able to change everything, but I can change so many things about myself. I can change my beliefs. I can change my actions. I can change the way I think and feel. And realizing how much that actually changes your life, it's just mind blowing. Mind blowing. So, the first thing I want you to realize, and again, if you're having resistance behind this, it's not, it's all right. It's literally just because the ego is trying to protect you. Maybe you have a belief that you're disempowered, that you're not good enough, that you're broken. The ego is trying to protect that. Your beliefs will always support you unconditionally. But you must realize the truth is, this is the truth, is that who you actually are is you are the entire sky. Okay? This cloud of, like, I am depressed, I am sad, it's simply just a cloud. It's an identity that we've bought into over time, but it's not forever. Same thing with a successful cloud. It's an identity that we can buy into. It's an identity that we can create. Think of it like, okay, your life is an entire book, and the chapter you're living right now is one single page. Most of us get stuck in that one single page, and we just read that same page over and over and over and over again. And it's the story that we've told ourselves and everybody else, and that's what we keep recreating over and over and over again. Life is suffering, so I suffer and I suffer. All relationships are bad, and I find myself in bad relationships over and over and over again. Or I had this situation happen to me as a child, and now I find myself in that situation over and over again in the future. My parents made this much money growing up. That's my baseline. That's how much I keep making. And every time I make more, I self-sabotage. These are just stories. All right, familiar stories that we keep replaying over and over and over again. So if you want to create a better story for your life, you first must realize who you actually are, which is the author. You're the one in the background, observing it all, saying, sure, let's buy into this story. Let's buy into this story. That's who you are. That's your power. And you never, ever, ever want to forget about that. Because remember, you are not your emotions. You are not your thoughts. These are pieces of you. These are signals. These are messengers, but they are not who you genuinely are. But the more and more that we buy into them and we listen to them and we allow that chemical reaction where we actually feel them, the emotion, the more it is our personal reality. The more we continue to experience it and stay stuck. But once we realize that, hey, this is all coming. So I'm not my thoughts, and my emotions come from my interpretations of events, which come from my beliefs. And I know that beliefs can change. Once we realize that, you understand now that you can change then, that you can change. So how do we go from, let's say right here is our current reality. Okay, this is the level of happiness, success, etc. that we're at. We're stuck at this baseline, this cap, right? This is where we're at. We can't go any higher or farther. How do we get this increase to go from here where this is our new baseline? So again, let's say you're making 50K per year. I'm just going to use money because everyone wants to make more money. And how do I get up to here where I'm making 100K per year, right? How do I go from overweight down here to healthy and fit up here? Okay. Well, what we need to do is we need to change our identity baseline. This is the baseline. We need to change our identity baseline. We need to change our self-image. And once we do that, we will naturally attract what it is that we want because the brain is just going to do its job. Okay. So how do we do that? Changing self, when I say self-image, just think of self-image as identity. So here's the power behind it. When you change your identity, who you believe you are, you're naturally going to change your actions over time. New actions produce new results. When you change your identity, you're going to naturally feel differently and think differently. You'll have more creative thoughts. You'll feel overall happier, excited when you change your identity in a more powerful way. When you change your identity, you're going to have a new focus on things and new perspective. Remember, your brain filters out like 99.9% of reality. That's your RAS, your reticular activating system. So when you change your beliefs to be more positive and you have a more positive and powerful identity, that's going to be your focus as well. That's going to be your perspective as well. Mind you, the quote unquote bad, the events happening in life that we don't prefer, the wars, the suffering of other people, like that is still going to happen. But the change is, let's say you're not going to buy into and say, oh, well, the entire world is evil and bad and this shouldn't be happening, blah, blah, blah. No, we can see it from a new angle. We can see it from a new understanding, a new lens, and we can choose to focus differently. We can choose to maybe take new actions to help make and promote new changes in the world. So, new focus, new perspective equals a positive self, a more positive self. New beliefs create everything new, but more confidence, more trust in yourself, more safe overall feeling in life. Okay? So, make what you want, as in like the reality you want, the goals that you want, make that the baseline, make that your identity, who you genuinely believe you are. That will then become the safe path. Okay. So to change identity, we must do a few things here. To change identity, we must, number one, change our beliefs. This is exactly the work that I do with my one-to-one clients, which if you're interested in, you can apply below. But number one is you can change your beliefs. As you change your beliefs, you're going to have new thoughts and emotions, which over time, as you consistently practice that, you will eventually have a new identity as well. Okay. New thoughts and emotions create new identity. Now, next thing that you can do to change your identity is we must also take consistent actions and find evidence for this new identity so we can actually integrate it. Because what's going to happen if not is that we'll work on changing ourselves, but we're going to look at our current reality as a reflection of what actually is, what actually is happening, and we're going to collapse back to our old identity. Because you got to understand that you got to give yourself a little bit of time to actually see the changes coming to fruition. Right? If I start going to the gym tomorrow, I'm not going to see results until about 3 months. But if I always think that I'm a fat, overweight person and I go to the gym tomorrow and I'm doing it for 3 weeks, I'm like, hey, look, I'm still overweight. What's going on? I'm going to collapse back to my old identity. My brain is still trying to find evidence to reconfirm that old identity. What I must do is say, you know what? Look at my actions. I'm being such a fit and healthy person. I'm working out consistently. I'm noticing a little bit of strength gains. I'm sleeping better at nighttime. I'm eating better. Like, I'm actually a fit and healthy person. You know what? The scale might not reflect that, but guess what? Results happen. And results happen from new actions, and I'm taking new actions. So I need to trust in the process. I need to ignore this old ego and old identity that's screaming at me to quit and give up and saying that there's no results. I need to just ignore that because that's not helping me. And I need to keep reconfirming this new identity of I'm a fit and healthy person. I feel great. I'm working on myself. I'm doing what I need to do. Therefore, the results are going to happen. Who do you think is going to get better results in the end? Obviously, the second scenario, right? So, consistent actions plus finding the evidence to integrate this new self. And lastly is to regulate. Keep your body in a calm, safe, calm, relaxed place. Because when you're in fight or flight, when you're in survival state, every change gets rejected. And we just look for one thing, which is comfort, which is predictability, which is the old programming. So, we want to make sure we are constantly regulating. So, let me give you a few examples here. Again, the beliefs is the magical work that I do, but you can always find that on my page on another training on how to go about that, or my Instagram at Khaden Hayward. I break that down too. But changing your beliefs, easy way to find a limiting belief is to find the limiting thoughts or feelings that you have about situations, and then you can start to question those and dissect them. Next, consistent actions and evidence. You don't need the whole 5 next steps. Just step into the state of like, okay, how would I think and feel if I was making this extra money, if I was this fit and healthy person? How would I think and feel if I finally broke through this plateau in my business? Oh, I'd feel so free and excited. Okay, step into that state, visualize it, feel it, and then take the next action based off that. And as you do that, now you're taking aligned action with the right identity. And you just keep continuously doing that. And then as you do that, find evidence on why that's the best route to take, on why things are working out. Find the positive evidence for these actions. Next, regulate. Whenever you notice you get worked up and resistance pops up, do not react. Do not react. Take a step back, take a pause, take a deep breath, take a good relaxed breath, do a meditation, move your body, whatever you got to do your 5 senses, kind of meditation to get present, get grounded, and then go back into the visualization, think and feel as who you want to be, and then take action again from there. And just keep repeating that as you go. And as you go, what's going to happen is, so you start doing this process, eventually you're going to enter the void. The void is where you got to be a little delusional. The void is where you're doing everything right. You're acting, feeling, being as a person you want to be, but reality has not yet caught up. So this is where you got to be delusional, because if you keep reflecting on, hey, my reality hasn't changed yet, you're going to keep getting the same results. You got to understand that you got to give it time, right? We got to take consistent actions, and we got to give time for those actions to produce results. It's like the bamboo tree analogy. You plant the seed in the ground, nothing happens for weeks or maybe even months, but eventually within a short period of time, it blows up through the ground and the bamboo tree grows super, super high. You have to have trust when it's in the dark, when you don't see any results. You have to keep doing the work. You have to keep nurturing it. You have to keep taking care of it, because one day, the how and when's out of your control, but the one day as you do your part, results must happen. It's just how things work, right? Results must come from actions. Every action has a consequence. So as you continue to act in the positive way towards what you want, you cannot help but get closer and closer, closer to it. But remember, the animal inside you wants immediate gratification. It wants immediate results. It wants immediate confirmation that it's safe and secure. That's why you need to regulate. That's why you need to trust yourself. You need to build confidence in yourself, because you're going to be in the unknown. And the unknown is where 99% of people give up. They can't handle that fear. They can't handle that unknown. They'd rather collapse back to the comfort zone, right? It's like the story of like the people in the cave, or the algorithm, or whatever it's called, where they're in the cave. A couple people go out of the cave, and they're like, hey guys, there's so much more life out here. But the people in the cave are like, you're crazy. No way. I'm not leaving the cave. Right. And it's like, but guys, there's so much more life. But it's like they'd rather stay in the comfort zone. So when you enter this void, you need to remember that you're in the void, and that if you just give it more time and you have trust and confidence, the results are going to show up. You got to keep moving forwards, because if you go back, you're going to get back exactly what you've been going through. So you make it through that part, then guess what? New results start to appear, and evidence starts to appear as well. And then that becomes your normal new state. That becomes your normal new identity. And then you're done, because after that, everything's gonna be automatic. It's just gonna keep happening, keep building over and over and over again. And then you just keep leveling up your identity, keep leveling up who you believe you are. And as you do that, your life is only going to get better, your life experience. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is a training. So if you're looking for help, if you're a six-figure entrepreneur who is struggling right now with burnout, self-sabotage, or you're stuck at a cap right now for months and you can't seem to break it, you can apply for help below. And also, if you like this, make sure you like and subscribe. That means a lot for me. I really appreciate that. I hope this did help you. And feel free to leave in the comments below what helped you most today, what clicked most for you today. And again, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next training.